This story is titled, My Parents Missed My Graduation and Ghosted Me a Month Later. I discovered the truth. Hi, everyone. Before we dive, a quick favor. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It is free, supports the channel, and make sure you never miss out on amazing video. All right, let us get started. My parents didn't come to my graduation, and then they blocked my number. A month later, I finally figured out why. And from that moment on, I knew I'd never speak to them again. I'm 24, and my name's Marissa. I've got two older brothers, Evan and Colin. Growing up, it was clear our parents had a favorite, even if they never came out and said it. Evan, the oldest, was their golden boy. In their eyes, he walked on water. Colin, the middle one, got plenty of attention too, but his came from acting out. He was the so-called rebel, the one they liked to brag about for being a handful. And me, I was the quiet one, the easy kid, the one who followed the rules and never made waves. I was the invisible daughter, but honestly, I didn't mind it all that much, not until graduation rolled around. Let me paint the picture. For 4 years, I busted my tail. Part-time jobs, internships, late-night studying, I did it all and still kept my grades up. My degree might not have impressed anyone back home. I wasn't going to be a doctor or a lawyer. I studied art history, something my parents always saw as a silly waste of time. Still, I pushed through. I gave it everything I had. And when graduation finally came, I figured, maybe just this once, they'd be proud. I invited them months ahead, hoping they'd make the trip. I wasn't just nervous. I was hopeful. I really believed they'd show up. I'd heard stories, people saying their families didn't come to their graduation, and I always thought, how is that even possible? How does a parent not show up for one of the biggest days in their child's life? Then the day came. There I was, sitting in a sea of black caps and gowns, my heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. I scanned the crowd, searching for familiar faces. Nothing. No parents. No brothers. Not even a text. I told myself they must be late. Maybe traffic. Maybe parking. I waited. And waited. The ceremony began, and when it was my turn, I walked across that stage alone. When it was all over, my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. It was short. Barely 2 sentences. We couldn't make it today. Hope you understand. No explanation. No sorry. No mention of what that day meant to me. Just that. I stood there in disbelief. I didn't expect balloons or a celebration, but this was cold. All around me, friends were hugging their parents, taking pictures, smiling with pride. And I felt like the biggest idiot. I sent them a message back, asking what happened. Hours passed. No answer. Eventually, my dad replied, "We just didn't feel it was the right time. Let's talk soon." What did that even mean? Sure, they'd never been the warmest people, but this was different. They'd never outright ignored me like this before. And now they were acting like I didn't exist. I started wondering if I'd done something wrong. I kept reaching out, texting, calling, trying to get a straight answer. But the more I reached, the further away they felt. Like they were deliberately building a wall between us. And then, after a few weeks of silence, I finally got a response. But not what I expected. "Your brothers and I have talked. We think it's best if we take some space. We're just trying to keep the peace." That was it. No reason. No explanation. Just distance. It was like I didn't matter at all. And then things went from cold to cruel. About a month later, while I was at work, knee-deep in emails and annoying customer calls, I got a call from Colin. We hadn't talked much since graduation. Honestly, I wasn't even sure he knew what was going on. But I picked up, hoping for something. Maybe even clarity. "Hey, Marissa," he said, like we were chatting over coffee. "I talked to Mom and Dad. They said there's been some stuff going on with you." My stomach dropped. "What stuff?" I asked, already feeling sick. "You've just been making things harder for them," he said. "You've always kind of been a disappointment, but this is something else. They're just done. You know? It's not personal. They just can't deal with it anymore." I froze. Was this a joke? But he wasn't teasing. His voice was flat, cold. "What are you talking about?" I asked, trying to stay calm. Why wouldn't they say this to me? Colin let out a sigh. "Look, I don't know. They're tired. I think it's better if you stop pushing." I didn't even know how to respond. I had always tried to be the peacemaker, the good daughter. I knew they never gave me much, but I still wanted to make them proud. And now, this? I sat there, numb. Everything they'd said ran through my mind like a broken record. A disappointment. Too much. It didn't feel random. It felt calculated. That's when I knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a decision. So I started digging. I needed to understand why they had cut me off so suddenly. I called Evan, hoping he might be different. But even he brushed me off. I don't know, Marissa. You should talk to them. No help. No answers. Then one day, I saw something on Facebook that flipped my world upside down. A mutual friend had posted a group photo from a recent family event. There they all were, my parents, Evan, Colin, smiling, laughing. But there was someone else in the picture. A woman I didn't recognize. The caption read, "So happy to welcome our new sister-in-law to the family." My heart sank. It wasn't that I had been cut off from my family. They had simply replaced me. This woman, this stranger, was now the one they were proud of. She was the one who got the smiles, the hugs, the photos, and I had been erased. I stared at that picture for days. I couldn't stop looking at their faces, their joy, their happiness, without me. Not one text, not one call, not even a mention. I'd given everything to get that degree, worked harder than anyone I knew. And for what? To be forgotten? Replaced? I needed answers. That weekend, I called Evan again. I didn't tell him what I'd seen. I wanted to hear it from him. When he picked up, his voice was casual, like nothing was wrong. "Hey, Marissa." "Hey," I said, trying to stay calm. "I need to talk to you. I need to understand what's going on with Mom and Dad." There was a long pause. "It's complicated," he said. "You don't know the whole story, and I'm not the one who should explain it." I felt my stomach twist. "I'm your sister, Evan. If something's going on with our family, I have a right to know." He sighed. "Just let it go. Things will settle down." I clenched my teeth. "No, I'm not letting this go. Why are they treating me like this? Why did they skip my graduation?" Another pause. Then he finally said it. "It's about the woman in the photo. She's important to them. More than you realize." My blood ran cold. "I don't even know her," I whispered. "Why does she matter more than me?" Evan's tone tightened. "You wouldn't understand. Just drop it." "No," I said, my voice trembling. "Tell me, why does she matter more than I do?" That's when he snapped. "Because you're a burden, Marissa. You always have been. You're not the daughter they wanted, and they're done trying to fix it. They want peace, and you bring drama." His words knocked the air right out of me. "You're seriously saying that?" I whispered. "I'm not saying it's fair," Evan said, colder now. "But that's how it is. They're tired of dealing with you." The world blurred. My brother, someone I trusted, had just told me I wasn't enough. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, barely able to speak. "A while," he replied. "It's been building. They think cutting ties is what's best." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "And you're okay with that?" I asked. He didn't say anything for a long time. "I'm just trying to keep things calm," he finally muttered. "It's not like I have much say." The call ended not long after. He didn't offer comfort. He didn't even try. I sat there, stunned. The girl I had been, the one who always tried to earn their love, was gone. Replaced. Forgotten. And the woman in that photo, she had taken my place. And I had no idea why. But I was going to find out. I didn't even know her, but I already felt a deep resentment toward her, Vanessa. And maybe that wasn't fair, but I couldn't help it. The way my parents looked at her in that photo, the way they smiled, like they finally had everything they ever wanted, it made me sick to my stomach. I started asking around, starting with a few of Colin's friends, then eventually reaching out to some distant relatives who still talk to my family from time to time. Didn't take long before someone gave me a name. Vanessa. She was dating Jake, Colin's best friend, and somehow, she'd gone from being Jake's girlfriend to someone my parents practically adored. Apparently, they hit it off with her right away. Too quickly, if you ask me. But it didn't stop there. Turns out, Vanessa had been around for a while, longer than I thought. She'd been going to family events, helping out around the house, inserting herself into every little corner of their lives. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized she hadn't just shown up, she'd embedded herself, completely. And what broke me most? My parents had let her die. No, worse. They welcomed her in with open arms. But even that wasn't the hardest pill to swallow. The real gut punch came when I found out what they'd been planning behind my back for months. They were selling the family home. And instead of splitting the money between us kids, like they always said they would, they were giving it all to Vanessa. At first, I refused to believe it. It sounded too insane, too cruel. But the more I listened, the more I heard quiet whispers, side comments, people dancing around the truth. And every piece pointed to the same thing. Vanessa wasn't just a guest. She was their chosen one. The daughter they'd apparently always wanted. Not me, the art history major who never made the family Christmas letter. They were using her to replace the space I left behind. And the betrayal cut deeper than anything I'd ever felt. It wasn't just that they missed my graduation. It was that they were building a whole new future and erasing me from it entirely. That's when the anger started burning. I wasn't going to sit quietly and let them do this. Not anymore. So I decided I was done being passive. Done with the silence. I picked up the phone and called my mom. It was a Friday night. The phone rang a few times, then she answered, voice sharp and cold like she'd been expecting trouble. Marissa, what do you need? I swallowed the lump in my throat. We need to talk. There was a pause, then a long sigh. I don't really have time for this right now. We're busy. I clenched my jaw. You're always busy, but this time, I'm not letting it slide. You and Dad have been shutting me out, and I need to know why. I could hear her shifting around, probably deciding how to spin it. Marissa, she said, her tone already slipping into that tired, blaming rhythm. You've always been difficult, always making everything harder than it needs to be. She paused, then delivered the next line like it had been rehearsed. We've tried. Your father and I, we've tried to make it work. But we're done. We don't need that kind of stress anymore. My heart was thudding in my chest. Stress? You think I'm stress? So that's it, huh? You just want me gone. She didn't hesitate. Not if it means constant disappointment. And then came the blow. Vanessa is different. She brings peace. She doesn't argue. She fits in. And honestly, that's all we've ever wanted. I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. You're replacing me with her, I said, my voice barely steady. We're not replacing you, Marissa, she replied, in that condescending tone that made my skin crawl. But you've never been able to give us the kind of relationship we needed. Vanessa does. She understands us. That's why we've decided to welcome her into the family. It's for the best. My hands were shaking. So what now? You're just going to cut me out completely? Pretend I never existed? There was a pause. If that's how you want to see it, then, yes. Something inside me broke. All the years I'd spent trying to make them proud, trying to live up to what they wanted, wiped away like it meant nothing. And the house? I asked, my voice tight with rage. You're giving it to her, aren't you? She didn't answer right away. I could almost hear her thinking. Then, as if she were talking about donating an old couch, she said, that's right. It's a fresh start for all of us. We want to help her build something for herself. She deserves it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're cruel, I said, the words barely making it out through the knot in my throat. You've made it painfully clear that you never cared about me. You've always been too much, Marissa, she said coldly. Maybe it's better if you just leave us alone. And with that, she hung up. I sat there, phone still to my ear, staring at the wall. Trying to absorb what had just happened. My own parents had just thrown me out of their lives like I was nothing. They'd chosen a stranger over their own daughter. And the ease with which they did it, it wrecked me. I wasn't just hurt. I was furious. All those years I spent trying to earn their love, gone. I'd twisted myself into knots trying to be what they wanted. And now? I'd been replaced by a woman I didn't even know. But this time, I wasn't going to fade quietly into the background. I couldn't. There was no time for wallowing. If I was going to stand up for myself for once in my life, I had to move. And fast. I'd spent my whole life staying out of the way, trying not to ruffle feathers. But not anymore. I'd never been the rebellious type. Never loud, never the one to stir the pot. But something inside me snapped, and I was done playing nice. For the next few days, I dug in. My brothers were useless, avoiding my calls like I was contagious. Evan had clearly bought into whatever story my parents were telling, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. One evening, I decided to go to the house. I didn't announce it. I just showed up, pretending like it was just a visit. I was hoping to catch them off guard, see behind the curtain for once. I had a feeling Vanessa would be around. Her name kept popping up in every second-hand conversation, like she lived there. I just needed to see what was really going on. The house was quiet when I arrived, too quiet. My mom's car was parked out front, so I knew she was home. I knocked, not expecting a warm welcome, just maybe a sliver of honesty. She answered the door, and the look on her face said everything. No hug, no hello, just a flat, Marissa, what are you doing here? I kept my tone steady. I just wanted to check in, Mom. Been thinking about what you said the other day. I thought maybe we could talk. She sighed like I was wasting her time, but she stepped aside. I walked into the living room and immediately saw it, that photo on the mantel. My parents, Colin, and Vanessa. Smiling like they'd finally gotten it right. I stared at it for a second before I spoke. How's Vanessa? I asked casually, pretending I hadn't just swallowed bile. She's fine, my mom replied, her voice sharp. She's part of the family now. I wish you'd accept that. I bit my tongue. You mentioned she's settling in. I was just wondering, what exactly is she helping with? My mom narrowed her eyes. What do you mean? I leaned forward a little, still keeping my tone light. You've been spending a lot of time with her. What's she doing for the family that I couldn't? Her face tightened. You wouldn't understand, Marissa. And frankly, this isn't your concern. Oh, but I think it is, I said, my voice firmer now. I am still part of this family, right? Or did you officially cross me off the roster already? That got her. She flinched, barely, but it was enough. She opened her mouth to respond, but I didn't give her the chance. And the house, I said. You've already decided to give it to Vanessa, haven't you? She didn't deny it. It's for the best, Marissa, she said stiffly. It's our decision. You don't get to come in here and try to control everything. I kept my voice steady, but my insides were boiling. I'm not trying to control anything. I'm asking for honesty. If you're giving the house to Vanessa, then what does that leave for me? Nothing? Just air. She snapped. Stop being so dramatic. It's a new chapter. You need to learn to let go. Those last words, let go, rattled around in my head. That's when it hit me. There was no coming back from this. They'd made their choice. But so had I. I stood up and looked her straight in the eye. I'm not done here, Mom, I said. I'll find a way to get what's mine. You'll see. She didn't even look up. But I knew. That moment, that was the start of everything. This wasn't over. Not even close. The weeks that followed were chaos. I got to work, digging, researching, building my case. I didn't need to be a lawyer to know they were crossing a line. That house? That wasn't just property. That was my childhood, my memories, my future. They didn't get to erase me and hand it all over to someone they barely knew. I contacted a lawyer who specialized in estate law. At first, I kept things vague, just posing as a concerned family member with questions. But over time, with a few meetings and a little persistence, I laid it all out. And when the time was right, I had everything I needed. Legal documents, statements, proof that they'd ignored the will and tried to quietly cut me out. It was time to bring it all into the light. I called a family meeting. No more games. No more pretending everything was fine. Everyone showed, my parents, Colin, even Vanessa. The room was stiff, quiet, like everyone already sensed something was about to explode. They thought I was just going to be polite. Play the forgotten daughter. They were wrong. Let's talk about the house, I started, my voice loud enough to cut through the tension. My mom looked nervous. Too late. You've been planning to hand it over to Vanessa, right? Without telling me. Without even telling anyone. My dad paled. Colin looked stunned, eyes darting, trying to catch up. And Vanessa? She just looked confused, but I could see the panic creeping in. You didn't just leave me out, I continued. You violated the will. You ignored my rights. And I've got the paperwork to prove it. My mom tried to shut it down. Stop with the drama, Marissa. This is our choice. It's done. You need to respect that. I leaned in, looking them both dead in the eye. You want respect? Then maybe you should have given me some growing up. But now? I'm not your afterthought. You don't get to push me out and think I'll just walk away. I paused. I will fight for what's mine. And if I have to drag you to court, I will. Silence. My mom opened her mouth, but I beat her to it. I'm done with this family. I'm done being used when it's convenient and tossed aside when I don't fit the mold. I'm out. And I walked out the door. That was the last time I spoke to them. They tried to move forward with the house transfer, but with the legal action in place, it all got held up. They couldn't hand it to Vanessa like they planned. Eventually, I got my share. Used it to start my own business, something they'd never have supported, but I didn't need them to. I haven't looked back. Not once. The truth came out. And it was clear, they never really cared about me, not the real me. Some days, I wonder if I did the right thing. But deep down, I know I did. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming what they tried to take. And finally, standing up for the version of myself I had buried for too long.